If you sold your XRP in the recent dip, you may have just made the biggest financial mistake of 2026. Because while you were watching the price, you completely missed the real story that was happening on the other side of the world.
So, let's get right into it. Here is the twist. While the West was absolutely panic selling over that dip to $1.10, South Korean investors made their move. In just 24 hours, they poured a record-breaking $1.7 billion into XRP. The result? Well, you're looking at it. XRP completely took over Upbit, their largest exchange, capturing almost 35% of all trading volume. That's more than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana combined. And this just shows the massive disconnect. While some retail investors got scared and sold, the institutions, they were loading up. We saw over $81 million flood into spot XRP ETFs in a single day. You see, the smart money, they're not staring at the 1-minute chart. They are looking at the fundamentals. And that's the promise of this explainer. By the end of this, you are going to see the hard, on-chain data behind this huge institutional rotation. You'll understand exactly why the Internet of Value isn't some future idea anymore. It's scaling right now, and we're going to show you the proof. All right, first up, let's break down this South Korean surge. You have to understand, this isn't just a random spike in volume. No, this is a direct defiance of the Western market sentiment. It proves a totally different story is playing out in the East. And this slide says it all, doesn't it? It's the great disconnect. On one side, you've got the Western retail sentiment. Price dips, everybody panics and sells. But on the other side, in the East, they see the exact same dip, and they view it as a massive opportunity, leading to over $1.7 billion in strategic accumulation. It is a textbook market divergence. Which brings us to our second point. This isn't just about feelings or sentiment. This is a clear battle between uninformed retail panic and calculated institutional strategy. And you know what? The on-chain data proves it. So who was actually buying when everyone else was selling? Well, the data is crystal clear. First, the institutions poured in over $81 million through ETFs on February 5th alone. But look closer, it wasn't just them. On the exact same day, centralized exchanges saw $16 million in net inflows. That tells us a whole segment of savvy retail investors saw what the institutions saw and bought the dip right alongside them. Okay, so now let's pivot. Let's move away from the trading and get to the why. Why is all this smart money moving in now? It all comes down to the fundamental growth of the XRP Ledger itself. This is the engine that's driving this entire thing. If you look at the latest Messari report for the fourth quarter of 2025, the Ledger's growth was absolutely undeniable. RLUSD, Ripple's new stablecoin, saw its market cap explode by 164%, and real-world asset tokenization, which is a massive narrative for this cycle, grew by a very, very healthy 37%. This is solid fundamental network expansion. But here's where the story goes into overdrive. You see that 37% growth in Q4? Turns out that was just the warm-up act. In January 2026 alone, real-world asset tokenization on the XRP Ledger grew by 260%. That's not just growth, that's an explosion. This is the kind of exponential move that institutions cannot afford to ignore. And listen, if you want to get these kinds of data bursts the second they drop, you need to be in my Telegram. That's where I put the high signal info first before anyone else. Just scan the QR code you see on the screen or click the link down in the description and join us. Which of course brings us to the key question. We see the on-chain growth, we see the trading volume, but why this exact moment? What flipped the switch? Why are the big institutions making their move right now?
Well, the answer comes down to two recent absolutely mission-critical developments. These two events have completely de-risked XRP for big money. This is the institutional unlock we've been waiting for: compliant yield and full European Union access. And hey, for all of our US viewers, you need to pay very close attention right now. What's happening over in the EU isn't just some foreign news story. This is the regulatory blueprint. These are the frameworks that could absolutely shape future US policy. You need to be way ahead of this curve. Okay, so here are the two unlocks. First, the yield engine. For the first time in history, institutions can now earn a compliant yield on their XRP through a new partnership with HexTrust. This is an absolute game changer. Second, the regulatory green light. Ripple just secured its electronic money institution license for the entire European Union. This is a structural shift. XRP is no longer just a payment token, it's becoming the backbone for institutional DeFi. This is Crypto Global News, and let me be direct. If you are watching this right now without a subscription, you are missing the most critical alerts. The algorithm is literally designed to hide this kind of content from you next week. If you want to stay on this timeline, you need to click subscribe right now. Now let's see how all this new institutional infrastructure is already being put to work. This isn't theoretical, this isn't a white paper, the global rails are going live, and it's starting with a massive bridge straight into Latin America. This is that real-world utility we're always talking about. Bitso, which is the leading crypto platform in Latin America, is now using RLUSD and Ripple payments for its B2B cross-border services. They are literally ripping out a broken 40-year-old system and replacing it with one that offers instant, zero-cost settlement. From tokenized bonds in Europe to B2B payments in Mexico, the Internet of Value is finally here. It's scaling. So you have to understand this. If you held through the dip, or if you were one of the smart ones who bought it, you need to reframe how you think about your position. You aren't just a trader playing charts. You are an early adopter of what is being built to become the next global reserve rail.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up with your playbook. Here are the clear, actionable steps you need to take right now to stay ahead of the curve.
Your action plan is simple. Number 1, subscribe to this channel to stay on the timeline. It's that simple. 2, join the Telegram for the very first alerts on this kind of breaking data. And 3, as soon as this is over, go to the Community tab and vote on our latest poll. I want to know what you think.
And I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We've seen Europe get secured. We've seen Latin America come online. The institutional rails are being laid down. So the billion-dollar question is, which continent is Ripple targeting next for its massive real-world asset tokenization platform? I am going to break down the full answer with all the data to back it up in our very next briefing. For now, check out the explainer that's on your screen. It's our deep dive on the Axiology tokenized bond platform, and it ties directly into everything we just talked about. I'll see you there.
Stay ahead in the crypto market. Subscribe now for the latest global news and updates.